What's up, everyone? It's Lan here with another episode of Cheeseheadz Weekly. Good to be with you here. Of course, I'm late again. This is Wednesday night as I'm recording this. You're probably seeing this on Thursday or even afterwards. But thanks for joining me anyway. I really appreciate the support. And we'll get right into it here in a minute with a training camp preview. Should be a lot of fun. And I do have a couple questions to answer that I was able to obtain via X. So we'll get into those in a minute. Before we do, just like to tell you, normally I say there's Q&A and polls on Spotify, but they switched some things up. Spotify for podcasters did. And now you can just comment on an episode and vote in a poll. So if you ask me, this is way better because no one wants to answer a question, but you can comment, you can answer whatever you want, you can comment on whatever specific take you saw during the show, and so this is great all around. So if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to leave a comment if you have something you want to say based on the episode or question, anything really. And of course, I'll always have a poll on Spotify as well. There is a link in the description still of every episode to send in a voice message. You can send in a question that way or anything else you would like to say, and you can have your voice be heard on the show. So that's fantastic. Every platform, every episode, including YouTube. The show is now available on YouTube in video form. The last few episodes, I've been struggling with some of the quality. Had some quality issues. Not sure, as far as the video, I mean. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to clear that up easily without spending money on a better camera or something. We'll see what happens there, but I'm just going to see if I can make it better. If it doesn't work, I guess we'll leave it at that, because I'm not really at a place where I'm just going to be spending money right now. The show is also available on the audio platforms such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, among a few others. There's actually not that many because Google Podcasts, I believe, went away. Stitcher, I believe, is going away as well. So not a ton left, but I am available basically everywhere you get your podcast outside of Amazon Music. You can hit the bell on YouTube or Spotify to be notified when a new episode comes out, which is every Tuesday is what I would normally say. Has not been every Tuesday, so you might want to actually hit that bell because you might not know when a new episode is coming out. I do try to produce an episode every week. I have skipped a week recently as well, but I do try to do it every week, so we'll see how that goes. And of course, as always, please tell your friends about the show. I would greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate the support that I've received already, and so thank you all for that. And you can also, of course, rate the show on Spotify. You can rate and review on Apple Podcasts. That greatly helps the show as well. And you can follow us on social media at Cheeseheadz_weekly. On X, it is at Cheeseheadz_W. As always, Cheeseheadz spelled with a Z at the end. Check out the website as well, greatcode.net/Cheeseheadz, again with a Z. And we will get right into the episode here today. So, I want to start. We've had some... this has been absolutely crazy. Even right now, I'm continuing to get comments on this random post I posted on X. Just completely blew everything out of the water from, basically went viral. If that can happen with such a small account and a small podcast like this one. But basically I said, and it was a really stupid question, I admit it, and I honestly do apologize for the people I perhaps maybe annoyed, even the Josh Allen fans, that this is the question I asked, alright? Is Josh Allen a top 10 QB all time yet? The answer is obviously no, of course not. And that's what basically all 70 comments said. And so, hey, thanks for all the support, X. Obviously, I pushed the right buttons on that one. I even commented on it myself. Funny how this ended up being my most popular post this far, and yet it was unpopular because not even close. No, no, never won a Super Bowl. Needs to win one. Just has to before that's discussed. Not yet. All time, I've had a few laughing emojis in here. He's top 10 in the league right now, but not all time. And I got some Dolphins fans really going at it, of course, too. And a guy that commented slow day. To which I replied, every day is slow for me because every day is slow for me. There were a few people that said yes, and I immediately questioned them on that because I was wondering why they said yes. Yeah, basically what I was thinking when I wrote this question, I realized I should not have done it because I try to me, it's kind of one of my pet peeves when people on X just randomly post these really dumb, stupid questions about random stuff, kind of like this one, except mine's probably a good bit more dumber than others because it's kind of obvious. If you don't win an MVP, you don't win a Super Bowl, you're not top 10 all time. There's a lot of great quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. I totally get that, okay? When I was thinking of this, I was thinking, man, who in NFL history is as talented and the same type of talent as a Josh Allen? Because there's been this random hype, whatever, uproar. Some random NFL executive, unnamed, said that Josh Allen is underrated. Now everyone's like, oh, he's underrated, and he is not overrated at all. He is a fantastic talent. And I even had someone comment on that. It kind of roasts me for that, too. Like, y'all say he's overrated, and then you post this. And I'm like, well, I'm not even a Bills fan, so for the record, I'm not a Bills fan. Go Pack Go. But yeah, I realized I shouldn't have posted because what really made me post the question, I was thinking talent-wise, and so I should have worded it that way. I did not word it that way. I'm not sure what I was thinking. I did go afterwards, but of course, no one's looking at that post or looking at this one, this egregious post that some random dude put up there, what in the world. So, yeah, it's crazy. I got, 5.8 views on it now. 5.8K views on it now. So, that's pretty crazy. I only got 300 some followers on X. So, yeah, that's pretty great. I also posted, where does Brett Favre rank on an all-time NFL QB list? I can read off some of these replies here. Top 10. I had a lot of top 10. Some random dude says 64th, and not too many people agreed with him there. I'm not really sure what the problem was. And then I had my guy over here. Now, I'm not sure if I can find it. Someone was kind of just like, basically said he's underrated. Oh, man, I'm not sure if I'll be... Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, maybe I didn't find it. Oh, I see. Here we go. Never mind. I still haven't found it. Basically, they said, it really disappeared here. I'm sorry, this is like terrible audio right now. Oh, yeah, here it is. At Alfie Bird, Smoke Hogan on X. Check him out. Great guy, obviously, because of this comment. He had 3 straight MVPs, broke the wins record as a QB. Favre is the most disrespected legend. This is out of hand. Someone 2 days ago said he's similar to Eli Manning. Now, that's just ignorant, and I will absolutely agree with that because Eli Manning is not known as a talent quarterback. He just kind of happened to win 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady, and now he's just the greatest thing ever, and he's better than Brett Favre. No chance. Apparently no one's seen Brett Favre play. To be fair, I haven't either, but I've seen enough highlights and heard enough things, heard enough stories. It's clear that he's a much greater talent. So, at any rate, he's top 10, maybe top 5. Brett Favre is. I think that's pretty clear and obvious. Yeah. I just got a comment. I'll just, Common Sense Sports, at C-Sense Sports. Check them out on X. Pretty, they're common sense, that's what I like. Some people have absolutely no common sense on X here, but had 2 real MVP seasons that could have easily... This is on Josh Allen, by the way. Sorry, I'm just circling around again. 2 real MVP seasons that could have easily been his. 13 seconds in this past season. He could easily have 2 Super Bowl appearances, and Pat would have 2 less. That could change the entire narrative around best player in the league, and it revolves around a couple plays. So here's someone who knows what he's talking about here regarding Josh Allen. So, check them out, man. Common Sense Sports. Let me just make sure I'm following them real quick. Oh my goodness, I'm not. Whoops. There we go. Now I'm following them. Check them out. At C-Sense Sports. But yeah. Basically, Josh Allen, what I'm saying is, yes, I kind of agree that he is a little underrated. Talent-wise, I think he's really good. I've heard people tell me that all the turnovers are the big deal. He's led the NFL in turnovers since he came into the league. Okay, he's also led the NFL in touchdowns since he came into the league. He throws a lot of passes. He's not had a consistent run game really until this last year. And the offensive line has been, shaky at times, kind of a revolving door there. And so I just think he's a little bit underrated. And obviously everyone's rushing to his rescue now, but I think this really validates why I have him top 2 in the NFL, right behind Patrick Mahomes. I realize he gets turnovers. I realize he hasn't won the big one yet. Sometimes you just have bad luck, and I think if someone this talented, he'll get there eventually. Not sure it's going to be this year, because I really don't think that that the team is really, built great the way they traded away Diggs and everything. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe they'll have a little bit of a run game with James Cook again. We'll see. But yeah, I think Josh Allen certainly could move up. And the reason I had that question about Brett Favre is because that kind of got the wheels turning. Brett Favre is very much known as a gunslinger, guy with big arm, throws the ball, can make every throw, threw a lot of picks, and that is exactly the same as Josh Allen right now. Really, prolific passer. Sure, a few too many turnovers, but Brett Favre won. He got a Super Bowl win, and I think Josh Allen has the potential to be better than Favre. So, I'm not saying he is, okay? And don't hear what I'm not saying here, and don't, go overreact and blow up my Twitter feed again. But I'm just saying, I think Josh Allen deserves some credit. I think he's a fantastic talent. For sure top 2 in this league. And, some people would even argue best player in the league, like this Common Sense Sports dude. So, there you go. So, moving on. We definitely need to move on into some more Packers stuff here. So, we got some questions here. The first one I will go over here is from Mafia Members Podcast. Imagine that. We got a Bills podcaster here asking questions about the Packers. We're kind of, we follow each other on X and support each other. That's a great thing about some sports fans. They're just, all around nice guys, even if they don't always agree with you. So the question is, lots of talk about how good the offense will be under Jay Love. But as an outsider looking in, what are the concerns on defense? What are the biggest needs on defense? So I have the depth chart pulled up here. What are the concerns on defense? Well, to be fair, right now I don't have a ton of concerns. What are the biggest needs? I don't think there's a ton of needs either as far as players and personnel. I think the real issue was last year we had Joe Barry at DC. We hired Jeff Hafley. Really what we need now is execution. That's the biggest concern on defense, is we need to utilize this great talent we have. We have a lot of top-tier talent on this defense. It's time to turn that into something, top 5 defense. That's what, on paper, the Packers have a top 5 defense, and that's what we said going into last year as well. And I think their defense on paper looks even better because they added guys like Xavier McKinney at safety. They got rookies in like Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard. I think this defense could be really great. They got some young guys. They got some vets. They got lots of first-round talent, lots of, day 1, day 2 talent. This is the year, all right? We got Jeff Hafley in here. I believe in him, but obviously we haven't seen it yet, so we don't know what we're going to have. We don't know what Hafley is going to bring to the table, if he will be the real deal, but I hope he is. I think he is, and that's really what we need. We need execution, and so I don't see a ton of needs. My concern is, can we play to our potential? And this is the year we need to get it done, or I don't know what's going to have to happen, but on paper, this defense looks like it has the potential to be really good. But what we need right now is execution. That is the key to this whole conversation. Execution here on defense. So thanks for the question. Again, that's Mafia Members Podcast at Mafia Members Pod on X. Check them out. Great account. Fantastic human. And, we need a few more of those in the world sometimes. Second question here from K. Rudolph at Scient West, or if I can spell that out here, at SCIENT West. The question is, what will it take for the Packers to beat the Niners, and will the Bears be any better with Caleb Williams against the Packers? So, first question, what will it take for the Packers to beat the Niners? Clean up the mistakes. That's all you look at the last year in the playoffs, they had the chance to go to the NFC Championship game. They made too many mistakes. They missed a field goal. Jordan Love threw a pick or two. They missed a pick six, dropped a pick six, Darnell Savage. So really, they made too many mistakes. Defense, offense, special teams, all 3 phases had at least one mistake. That's what needs to be cleaned up, We gotta clean up the mistakes, all 3 phases. We gotta come to play everywhere. And I think, honestly, the Packers' biggest weakness is on special teams, Right now, 3 kickers on the roster, having competition. Anders Carlson hasn't looked terrible through OTAs and stuff. He has to be better than last year. He really does, if the Packers are going to trust him in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens, but really, again, execution, and you got to clean up the mistakes, and I think the Packers absolutely can beat the Niners. Will the Bears be any better with Caleb Williams against the Packers? Well, for the record, the Bears, I don't think will win any games against the Packers this year, because after all, the Packers own the Bears. End of discussion. We don't even need to. No, just kidding. No, I'm gonna give you a straight answer for sure. the first time the Packers play the Bears is November 17th. So that's a good ways into the season. I'm not even sure what week that is, because I'm looking at just the regular old schedule on Google. Not real great, but yeah, that's November. September, October, then November 17th. So this is a ways into the year. Caleb Williams could, at this point, hopefully have his feet wet, and the Bears, and Bears fans, Bears brass, whatever, they're going to be hoping that Caleb Williams is showing something by this time. We obviously don't know. He is a rookie quarterback. Sometimes it can take some time. I personally, despite the fact that I'm a Packers fan, I personally think Caleb Williams can be the real deal. I think he is the real deal. But again, even for, Patrick Mahomes sat a year behind Alex Smith. Now, the way he came out year two, it's fair to wonder whether he needed to. But most rookie quarterbacks, their first year, when they're thrown into the fire, just aren't great right out of the gate. And that's fine, everyone's, gonna have growing pains. Jordan Love sat 3 years and still had a little bit of growing pains coming out the gate. So, everyone maybe wants him to be C.J. Stroud. That's fine. C.J. Stroud, had a few bumps in the road, significantly less than most, but yeah. So I think Williams can be the real deal. Now, obviously, is he going to help them beat the Packers? Probably not this year, but down the road, once he gets better, absolutely, I think the Bears could be a very good team. They did build their team a little bit up to be win now, and so I do worry with guys like Keenan Allen and some others aging a little bit. It's fair to wonder, will all of those guys be around next year? But they certainly set up Williams for success, and so kudos to them for sure. And I think the Bears have done a pretty good job putting up a team. I think it's possible, certainly within the realm of possibility, the Bears beat the Packers, especially since they're playing later in the year. Williams could be, the arrow definitely could be pointing up in a major way at that point in the season. Could be playing some pretty good football, but we'll see what happens. I don't expect the Bears to just immediately start winning games like crazy, but hey, it's a possibility. It's certainly a valid question, and as much as I hate to say it, the Bears could be a good team in the near future. All right, so we'll get into the training camp preview. I didn't prepare extremely a ton for this, but I'm just going to kind of go position by position, go each position group, and we will discuss kind of the training camp battles, who's on the bubble, who needs a big camp, whatever. Start with quarterback. This is going to be pretty straightforward. The starter is going to be Jordan Love, no question about it. All right, so down to the second and third quarterbacks, we have Sean Clifford, and we have the rookie 7th rounder Michael Pratt on the roster. Sean Clifford was a 5th rounder last year. Did pretty well in training camp preseason. Michael Pratt looked pretty good in OTAs so far. Not that that means a whole lot, but this could be a real battle. I don't think Sean Clifford's going to give up his job easily. And but I think Pratt's going to get a fair chance to win the backup job. Now, if I had to predict, I'd say Clifford's going to win it. Pratt will definitely stick around on the practice squad and could develop into a nice backup sometime. But if I had to say who's kind of on the hot seat, who really needs a big camp, it's definitely Sean Clifford, because, Pratt's the new hotness coming in. And so, Sean Clifford definitely needs a big camp to definitely solidify that role as the number 2 guy. He definitely can't just be falling down on the job. Oh, yeah, I'm the number 2 guy. No one cares. No, Michael Pratt will, is going to make things interesting. So Clifford definitely could use a big camp if he wants to continue to be Jordan Love's backup. On to running back. We have starter Josh Jacobs, no question about it. Number 2, number 3, and number 4 could be a little bit interesting here. All of these, certainly could be on a 53-man roster somewhere. Marshawn Lloyd is obviously the new hotness coming in town. I believe he's a third-round pick, second or third rounder. Definitely an athlete, okay? He's got some speed and explosiveness. Has some major ability. Certainly more explosive than your A.J. Dillon and Emmanuel Wilson probably as well. So Emmanuel Wilson showed some stuff in a preseason, training camp at preseason. Definitely something you want to see, and ended up, I'm not sure if he made the initial roster or not. I believe he did, actually. Kind of forced his way on there. It was very, I guess, really elevated his stock. No one really saw his rise coming. But now he's seemingly the fourth string, because they ended up bringing A.J. Dillon back and they drafted a guy. So Emmanuel Wilson is certainly the guy on the hot seat that needs a big camp if he wants to get back on the roster. Marshawn Lloyd certainly does too. And A.J. Dillon, honestly, could use a big camp. Emmanuel Wilson certainly could make a run at A.J. Dillon's job. He's not safe. I think A.J. Dillon probably is going to have the edge. He can do a little bit of everything. So, we'll see. I would anticipate the Packers probably keeping 3 backs, because otherwise they're not going to, unless they just, straight up release one of these guys or something, because I'm not sure they're going to be able to, retain everyone if they, cut 2 of them or something and think they're going to get it back on the practice squad. Wide receiver is probably the most interesting position group here. Could be interesting. Certainly an embarrassment of riches, as Andy Herman would say. So, likely starters would probably be, if it's a 3 wide receiver set, you have Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and then Jaden Reed kind of as your slot guy. Makes sense. If Watson can stay healthy, absolutely. But then you have guys like Dontavian Wicks, who certainly could be a wide receiver 1 at some point in his career. Arrows pointing up. Jordan Love just got done, singing his praises the other day. Then, of course, you got Bo Melton, who is on a meteoric rise at the moment. And Malik Heath, pretty fun player to watch. You have new wide receiver Alex Magoo. He's not going to make the roster almost certainly, but putting in, some work. Samori Toure is a second-year guy drafted with Dobbs and Watson that really is on the hot seat. I think this is the guy that needs a big camp. Excuse me. Toure, I think, is the guy that needs the big camp to be able to secure a roster spot. He's not locked and loaded at all. Not sure. I guess he did make the roster last year. I really should bring up the initial 53 from last year, but don't have that up at the moment. Maybe I can get there. And then, of course, you got Grant DuBose, another guy that certainly could be that guy. So, all right, I see we got some other news. And Jordan Love here. Here's the quote on Dontavian Wicks. Quote, "I think Dontavian Wicks is going to have a monster year." So there you go. What I said was true. Yeah. So I'm just going to try to bring up the initial 53 from last year. See if I can find it here. Yeah, this could be interesting. Alright, well, this is pretty bad audio. Maybe I should just not think about it. So, yeah, at wide receiver. Well, hold on. I almost found it. Oh, shoot, I have to scroll all the way back down. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. This is just taking a little while here. But I almost got it. There we go. Alright, I found it. So, at wide receiver, they did keep Toure, and Malik Heath was on here too. That's just pretty crazy. Emmanuel Wilson was as well. The other one I wasn't sure about it, but Malik Heath is just such a fun player. Undrafted free agent, got in over Grant DuBose, which he was injured during camp. So Grant DuBose definitely needs a big one if he wants to get on the roster too. But this is just a stacked room, and it's going to be tough to get everyone on that wants to be on. Really, there were 6 that were, Bo Melton wasn't even on the initial one either. Like, let's see, I think they kept 6. So they kept 6 last year. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Toure, Reed, Wicks, and Heath. They had DuBose and Bo Melton who aren't on here. I would anticipate Bo Melton gets on here. So Toure looks like the odd man out, or else it's Malik Heath. And then Grant DuBose probably is going to have a lot of trouble just getting on again. So that's pretty crazy. So, yeah, definitely stacked, and need some big camps from Heath, DuBose, and Toure. Toure for sure is on the hot seat. He's kind of just been slow developing and just hasn't shown a whole lot, so he definitely could be a guy that's just outright released eventually if he doesn't show something. At tight end, this is honestly pretty locked and loaded. It's either going to be 3 or 4 that they keep. Last year, they kept 3 to start. Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, and Josiah DeGuara. DeGuara is out. In comes Ben Sims. I expect him to make the roster. Tyler Davis, coming back off that ACL injury, certainly has a shot. Always been a guy the Packers have liked. And if it wasn't for the fact that he got injured, he probably would have been on that roster as well. So we'll see if they keep 3 or 4. If they keep 3, it'll probably be Sims, but if 4, then definitely they'll keep Davis as well. And, of course, there's an argument to be made. Fullback, they do have Henry Pearson, who played in a few games last year. Spent most of his time on the practice squad, but did get a little bit of playing time, so that could be interesting as well if they want to keep him in there as well. At offensive line, they did keep 11 last year. Elton Jenkins, David Bakhtiari, Josh Myers, John Runyon, Josh Nyman, Royce Newman, Sean Ryan, Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker, and Luke Tenuta. That's interesting that they kept Luke Tenuta last year. Still on the roster, Bakhtiari obviously is not. I expect, well, here's the guys that are likely the starting 5, or kind of were to end last year, I guess. Rasheed Walker, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, Sean Ryan, Zach Tom, that was from left to right there. And then in comes first rounder Jordan Morgan. And free agent signing Andre Dillard. And of course rookies Jacob Monk, Travis Glover as well. Drafted 3 linemen. Royce Newman is a holdover from a few years ago. He really needs to step it up. I think if he wants to stay on the roster, could be a candidate to get cut. Luke Tenuta still here, could make the roster. For some reason, they have Caleb Williams slotted in way down here. And, of course, Kadeem Telfort as well. And Lakita Smith or something. I'm not sure exactly how you say that name. So, yeah, could be interesting. So, let's just find an 11 here that they could keep. The starting 5, Walker, Jenkins, Myers, Ryan, Tom, Morgan, I'm not sure about Newman. Morgan, Monk, Tenuta, there's 8. Dillard, they'll probably keep him. Wow, that's only 9? Travis Glover, Caleb Jones, Royce Newman. Okay. Well, I guess you got 3 to 4, and Kadeem Telfort could be in that conversation. Basically, Newman is the guy kind of on the hot seat that needs a humongous camp if he wants to stick around, because he has not been good recently. Started some games his rookie year and just, I don't know, kind of fell off a cliff, which it wasn't fantastic, but the development just never kept happening, I guess. I don't know. So I'm not sure if Newman will be on the roster or not, and We'll see if they keep Caleb Jones or Travis Glover. Could be interesting, and Packers are just going to rotate guys in and out just to find that best starting five. But overall, I think the depth is decent on the offensive line. On to the defense. At defensive end, Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, Kingsley Enagbari, Lucas Van Ness, Colby Wooden, and then you have some Deslin Alexander and Kenneth Odemegwu. Kenneth Odemegwu will likely be on the practice squad again because they get an extra spot to put him in. Deslin Alexander apparently has been showing out a little bit. Could force his way on the roster. Not sure. He probably won't at this point. I'm sorry, and I read Colby Wooden there. He's actually a tackle. I meant Brenton Cox Jr. is the other defensive end there. So let me see how many they kept last year. Outside linebacker, I guess, is what the position was called last year. And they kept Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, Kingsley Enagbari, Lucas Van Ness, Justin Hollins, no longer with the team, and Brenton Cox Jr. So really, they kept 6 here. And 5 of those 6 are on the team. So if they wanted to keep 6, Deslin Alexander would be the guy. I'd like to see a big camp from Brenton Cox. I think he'll probably make the roster because there's not a ton of other guys here. But certainly is a guy that could use a big camp if he wants more playing time, I guess, bigger role. And Deslin Alexander could force his way onto the roster, so you kind of got to look out behind as well. So we'll see if they keep 6. I'm not sure. They might only keep 5. Defensive line, interior defensive line, Devontae White, Kenny Clark, Carl Brooks, TJ Slayton, Colby Wooden, Jonathan Ford, and Spencer Waggy or something. I don't know how you say his name. Ouija? I don't even know. Claimed off waivers from the 49ers, I believe. So locked and loaded, Devontae White, Kenny Clark, Carl Brooks, TJ Slayton, and probably Colby Wooden. They kept 5 last year. And no, they didn't. They kept 6. Wow. They kept those exact 6. And they kept Jonathan Ford, or those exact 5 I just mentioned, and Jonathan Ford, who is still with the team. So they could keep all the same 6. If they do keep 6, I imagine that would be the 6. If they keep 5, I already mentioned the 5. So I think that's pretty straightforward there. Obviously, the guy that needs a big camp to stay on the roster, Jonathan Ford, probably. Okay. Inside linebacker, we'll go with that. Last year, they kept Devondre Campbell, Quay Walkers, Isaiah McDuffie, Eric Wilson, and Tariq Carpenter. This year, Tariq Carpenter obviously not on the roster. They have Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, no Devondre Campbell. Who else was there here? They kept Eric Wilson. Eric Wilson is on the roster. So no Devondre Campbell, no Tariq Carpenter. The guys that could replace those 2 on the roster if they keep 5 again, which I would actually imagine them keeping more than 5 since we're switching to a 4-3. So then, if we're saying 5, Edgerrin Cooper could take a spot, and Tyron Hopper, 2 rookies, they could definitely take spots. If they're keeping more than 5, which I would imagine they would, with the 4-3 and everything, they would probably keep either like a Christian Young or a Christian Welch, who they re-signed, kind of some special teams guys there. Those are kind of the guys. So, yeah, I'd say Christian Welch is the guy that could use a big camp if he wants to push his way on the roster. But really excited to see the 2 rookies there, Cooper and Hopper, see what they can do, especially Cooper, as he'll likely be a day 1 starter there with Quay Walker. On to cornerback, let me see, that last year they kept 4 corners. Wow, that's not... Yeah, only 4 corners that they kept. Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas, Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine. Douglas not with the team. Nixon is, Carrington Valentine is. I expect those two to make the roster. And Corey Ballantyne will probably be another guy to make the roster, as well as, well, who could make the roster. Eric Stokes likely will. If they keep four, it'll probably be Stokes, Alexander, Valentine, and Nixon. If they want another one, Corey Ballantyne likely will be it. Maybe Kalen King, who they drafted in, I believe, the 7th round. So certainly some options there. Pretty good depth. That's a position group I'm probably most excited to watch on the defense. Just, I want to see them get better. You know, Eric Stokes coming back from injury, Jair Alexander sort of coming back from injury, and just hopefully, you know, stepping it back up to, you know, all-pro Jair. And then we got safety, and we got completely remade that room. We got new rookies coming in, Javon Bullard, Evan Williams. Anthony Johnson Jr. is like the one returning guy, as well as Zane Anderson. So that's two returning guys, I guess, not one. And then, of course, they drafted also Katana Ladapo, Evan Williams, Javon Bullard. I already mentioned them. Big free agent signings, Xavier McKinney. He'll be probably one starter, and then Bullard will probably be day one starter as a rookie at safety. Definitely a guy to watch. Evan Williams probably will make the roster. Let's see how many they kept last year. Last year they kept 5. If they keep 5, I would assume it would be Bullard, McKinney, Evan Williams, Anthony Johnson Jr., and either Katana Ladapo or a Zane Anderson. By the way, fair to mention at corner, Robert Rochelle and Benny Sapp III were both on the roster at times last year. Certainly could be guys that end up on the roster again, or make the roster, or just our practice squad call-up. So they're guys to watch if they have big camps. See what happens with them. Special team guys is what they do mainly. And then special teams, we have Anders Carlson, Greg Joseph, James Turner at kicker battling it out. Punt returner likely will be Jaden Reed. Kick returner likely Keyshawn Nixon. Long snapper, we have a battle between Matt Orzik and Peter Bowden. And punter is Daniel Whelan. No competition at the moment. I don't expect any. I'm not sure why they would, because he has been balling out. So, long snapper and kickers up in the air. I would anticipate Carlson being the kicker, because I think he can be, and yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the competition. Long snapper, I kind of hope Bowden can win that job, because Orzik was not it last year, but we'll see what happens there. Yeah, so as far as most exciting unit, most exciting position group on each side of the ball, I'd have to pick wide receiver on offense and cornerback on defense. Kind of already said that, answering a question last week. As far as rookies, if there's any rookies that I think will kind of blow up, have a great camp, on offense, I would pick, kind of hard to tell because we do have some rookies on the offensive line, but I'd probably say Marshawn Lloyd. He's kind of an exciting player. I think he could have a chance to really, potentially even be the backup to Josh Jacobs over A.J. Dillon, so that's kind of exciting. On defense, it's probably a toss-up between Bullard and Cooper. I'll probably pick Cooper. We've seen, or at least heard, some good things about him, in OTAs and stuff like that. So I'm a big fan of Cooper, and I think he can hopefully continue that kind of dominance during training camp and hopefully preseason. And that would be good to see from him and Bullard, because they're likely going to be day one starters on the defense. All right. That will basically do it for me today. I kind of already predicted the 53-man roster. I gave my way too early prediction. Closer to the time, maybe I'll make another prediction, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But we are approaching 45 minutes here, so a little bit of a longer episode compared to the last couple. But thanks for listening, everybody. Tend to be a little bit rambly, as it tends to be on this show, so maybe that's why we're not very popular. I don't know. Tell your friends about the show. Would be really appreciated. Hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube, wherever you are watching or listening. Thank you for, being a part of this episode. Really appreciate it. Thank you to the guys that sent in questions. Go check them out at Mafia Members Pod and at Scient West, SCIENT West. Check them out on X. Give them a follow. And that is all for this week. Thanks for listening, everybody. Really appreciate the support. Go Pack Go.